Football fans, I'm Jeremy Huber, joined by Josh Apple. And Josh, obviously these two teams, this game's been going on for a while, a long time history on the football field and as schools for both these programs.
Yeah, both schools have been around for over 100 years. They started back in the late 1800s, and they've played a lot of games against each other, so they know each other quite well at this point.
Yeah, obviously two prep league rivals played against each other. This, in effect, is the de facto prep league championship game. Really looking forward to what we're going to be bringing you today. Two good football teams matching up in this contest. Of course, the race for number one, it's an interesting one, Josh, as Woodberry Forest not eligible for the Vista playoffs as they do not participate because of their big game against Episcopal next week.
Right, yeah, their game against Episcopal next week, they're essentially calling it a bowl game as both teams don't participate in the playoffs. It's a huge rivalry game. They've been playing it for years, just like today's contest, and I know they want to build some momentum off today's win, hopefully to go into that game as well.
And of course, the other issue with this is it can be played for the unofficial championship or private school championship of Virginia, as of course Woodberry Forest, if they can lay claim to beating some of the top teams, which they did. Benedictine is currently ranked number one in private schools in Vista. Maybe the Tigers can go ahead and say they have a claim to that Virginia State Championship, something Clint Alexander's crew would love to go ahead and get to do. Let's go ahead and take a look at our keys to the game. We start with the visitors today, the Fork Union Blue Devils.
Yeah, first they need to control time of possession. Woodberry has an incredibly explosive offense, and the only way to really keep their offense off the field is for them to have the ball. They're more of a run-first offense. They have the ability to throw the ball. That's not what they like to do. They like to run and eat up time and make the game go by as quickly as possible. Second, they need to grow up fast on defense. They're starting 3 sophomores and 1 freshman today. They've had some key injuries. 2 starting senior defensive ends are out today. They have 1 sophomore that has been regularly starting, Adam Hackenberg. He's a stud for them, but the other 3 guys are in new roles, starting against a team as explosive as Woodberry, and they need to continue winning the turnover battle. They're leading in that category 20-9 this year, so they need to keep that up to keep Woodberry off the field and to set them up in some short yard situations.
Always important in high school football, any football, to go ahead and win that turnover battle. Let's take a look at our players to watch for this Fork Union squad. And Josh, we start under center with the quarterback, Chris Basso.
Yeah, Chris Basso, his numbers won't jump off the page at you like Lyndall Stone, but he manages the game well. He puts up decent numbers, as you see there. What he mainly needs to do today is get the ball to his playmakers. They have a carousel of running backs. They use 5-6 running backs. He needs to get the ball to those guys and really manage the game, make smart decisions, and continue not throwing too many interceptions. But he's not going to throw a lot of touchdowns, as you see there. He just has 5 on the season, but he's certainly a capable passer.
Yeah, you talked about the carousel of weapons that he has. Another weapon on the Fork Union offense, one of our players to watch, it'll be number 13, Adissa Gittin-Smith.
Yeah, Gittin-Smith is the most versatile player they have on their roster. You'll see him mainly at running back today, but as you can see, he returns kicks. He's a wide receiver. He's a defensive back. He's a safety. He's all over the field. You'll see him everywhere today. Perhaps their most talented player, but he can put up numbers rushing. He has 2 games of over 100 yards rushing, and he gets about 115 yards of all-purpose yards per game. And as well, on defense, he's caught 2 interceptions, so he's a big playmaker on defense.
Does it all over the field. Adissa Gittin-Smith, our third player to watch in this one for Fork Union, it'd be Taurus Carroll.
Taurus Carroll, yeah, the other 2 guys were seniors. He's a junior, and yet he's created the most buzz in terms of recruitment. He's the most highly sought-after prospect on their team. He mainly plays defensive back, but you'll see him as wide receiver. You'll see him returning kicks. At the next level, he'll most likely play defensive back. He has good size, good hands. He has 11 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, so a big playmaker on defense, but also a big playmaker on offense for them.
Yeah, Carroll, a guy that can really get it done. Should see him some on offense, as you said, as they look to get some playmakers and some big plays against this Woodberry Forest team. Now switch it over to the aforementioned Tigers and their keys to the game.
First, they need to build a lead, which is something they've had no problem doing this year, scoring about 45 points a game with an incredibly explosive offense. But if they do build that lead early, it'll be difficult for Fork Union to catch up with a run-first offense. If you make them one-dimensional, make them have to pass the ball. Not that they're not capable, but it's not what they want to do, and it'll be difficult for them to get back in the game. And second, they need to win special teams. Both teams are very talented in that category, as Fork Union has some scary returners, some of the guys I mentioned, Gittin-Smith and Taurus Carroll. But so does Woodberry. I mean, they have some exceptional return guys in Davenport, and as well as Portugal, who actually returned a kick 99 yards per touchdown last game, filling in for Davenport. They have a solid punter who's likely going to end up on a college roster in Bo Sheridan, and a solid kicker as well. And next, they need to run the ball. They're more of a pass-first offense, but they have the ability to run the ball. If they're doing both well, they'll essentially be unstoppable.
Yeah, they obviously have put up some big numbers, but getting a running game going with Evans Revere will be big for the Tigers today. Let's go ahead, take a look at our players to watch for Woodberry Forest. The guy it starts off with, it's the trigger man, Lindell Stone.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what he's done offensively, it's just been incredible this year. He's thrown for 32 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions. He's averaging 325 yards per game. QB rating of 125, I mean, that's just off the charts. He threw for 480 yards against Pinecrest, and he's thrown for 5 touchdowns twice this season. He's highly sought after, offers from Purdue and Temple and UCLA and Wake Forest and West Virginia, and the list goes on.
Yeah, of course, Stone coming back from that broken collarbone last season. Another guy to watch for Woodberry Forest. He's in the defensive backfield at Logie Portugal.
Yeah, Logie Portugal, according to Clint Alexander, he's the best gunner on punt coverage that he's ever seen, which is high praise from a coach that's seen a lot of good players in his time. He's the starting cornerback for them. He's had 61 tackles, which is third on the team, and that for a guy that's a defensive back, that's a lot of tackles.
Yes.
And he's caused a fumble and picked off 3 passes, so big playmaker, both getting tackles and turning the ball over.
Does a lot of good things for this Woodberry Forest team. Another guy that does a lot of good things, our third player to watch, the guy from the Great White North, Terrell Jana.
Yeah, he's been, just incredible. He came from Canada as a quarterback, made the switch to wide receiver, and hasn't missed a beat. I mean, you see some of his highlights here. He has great hands, great speed. He's a difficult guy to cover, and he's a great 1-2 punch with senior Zach Roderick. I mean, if you focus on one, the other will hurt you. And if you try to just take away the pass, they can hurt you running the ball. So there's no easy way to stop these guys.